Hello and welcome to this episode of Point Counterpoint. As always, we are here to discuss and deliberate issues of immediate concern. Today in this discussion, we will take up the issue of the very plagued construction or the renovation of Kala Academy. The words construction and renovations themselves seem to be misnomers, taking into account the situation that is happening there. Right now, as you know, as we discussed, a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago, nothing really has changed because there is a lot of mistrust in the artist community as far as the facilities at the Kala Academy post renovation is concerned. Apparently, there is a lot of AC leakage, the sound doesn't work, the acoustics are not in place, and so on and so forth. A committee headed by Vijay Kenkre, a renowned artist, initially seemed to be very disappointed with the progress so far. What is also important and interesting is that the Charles Correa Foundation, which knows a thing or two, to put it mildly, about the Kala Academy, has decided not to take part in it because it feels that in its wisdom feels that a detailed structural audit of the entire process needs to be done. And what is being done currently would seem to be just a superficial response to the real needs of artists. Without much ado, I'll introduce a very esteemed panel of people who are very critical stakeholders in the whole process. And the reason why we are doing this is with Kala Academy, as we repeatedly say, is not just an institution. It is an intrinsic part of Goan heritage and culture. And it is not just a soulless institution of brick and mortar. It's got a soul which beats very rapidly, and it is an institution which is all about people and sentiments. And this entire episode of giving this contract and renovating it and the controversies that come again belittle that basics to soul and spirit. Armin Ribeir, of course, is a very well-known architect and managing trustee of the Charles Correa Foundation. He was here last time and he's here again. Thank you, Armin, for being here. Devidas Amankar, of course, is a very renowned theatre artist. He is with the Goa Rakon Manch, the convener rather, and a member of the Kenkre Task Force. And so is my other esteemed panelist, Francis Coelho, who is, of course, a very critical stakeholder in the theatre world. He is a theatrical production specialist. He too is a member of this Kenkre Task Force as an artist. I'll start with you, Armin. What do you feel, or why do you feel that the Vijay Kenkre Task Force will not serve the purpose of what the sentiments are and the quote-unquote mess that the Kala Academy is?
So I think that the main issue that we are faced today is that the building is near completion or completed. I don't know how they have defined the current position of Kala Academy.
Right.
And we are called over there at a point of time when we have not seen the process of rehabilitation of the building, which is the structural part of it. What has that means still some time back we were wanting to step in and tell them, okay, you need to correct this, and that's on the superficial things that we were seeing that they were doing.
Right.
But today we reach a point and suddenly we find that a portion of Kala Academy has collapsed. They say that, okay, this was not part of the project, but I don't even understand why it was not part of the project, because if the consultants were involved, they should have analyzed every part of Kala Academy. And then we start hearing that the false ceiling is collapsing in some areas. All these things have got their own concerns.
Right.
And fundamentally, the concern is the safety of the people inside Kala Academy.
Right.
The audience. If tomorrow should anything, even a false ceiling collapses, weighing some 15 kilos or 20 kilos, that will result in injuries.
Right.
And if God forbid, even if the slab comes down in some sections, it can result in deaths. The day that the slab collapsed of the amphitheater, apparently there were some people who had gone there and they stepped away from that for it was the workers over there, and fortunately nobody got injured.
But don't you feel, Armin, and before I go to the other panelists, that this reluctance or decision not to kind of participate or partake may affect the confidence of the artists, because at the end of the day, if you were with them now, the artists would have felt that at least the CCF with us, and they would get extra teeth in their
So we completely want to be with the artists. What we are saying right now is get a structural audit done, and then we will consider whether we want to step in or not. And I think without a structural audit at this point, it would be even, I would say, it's not only going to be about your confidence, but it's going to be about your lives. Yeah, and I think this is primary for us, which is a greater concern.
Okay, you said that we will only accept this if the audit was carried out by IIT Madras. Why IIT Madras only?
So you know, from the beginning we have been working with IIT Madras. There's Professor Dr. Arun Menon, who's an expert in rehabilitation of weakened concrete RCC structures,
right.
And with him is also another doctor in such subjects, and also with an architectural background is a Radhakrishna Pillai.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
These people have the right kind of expertise to appreciate both the rehabilitation of these buildings, but also to respond to it in an architecturally sensitive manner.
Okay, Devadas Bab, leave the CCF aside. Arvind's made his points. You can respond if you feel like that's, but right now it's not just about this. What was your experience as far as the first meeting was concerned? Do you think that the response of the state government to constitute this committee or this task force, as it is called, is this for real? Or do you think they are serious, or is it just simply a time wasting tactic?
What actually we have thanked CM also for forming that, accepting there are some flaws in this reconstruction or retrofitting, whatever they call like. And in fact, we have demanded that Charles Correa Foundation should be there in meeting with CM.
Right.
Now we should hope for the better things. So we are still hoping that we want, actually being a artist, we want our Kala Academy in same position, the way it was working. So we want to present ourselves there. In fact, that is the cultural heritage, and it was giving birth to many artists on that forum. And that has been stopped totally for last 4+ years. And that's why we have requested, like we want to know what, we have never interfered prior to this, what they were doing. We have gone for inspection, we have noted, and let me clear first that we are not here as a task force members, we are the Kalarakhand Manch representative here.
Fair enough, fair enough. But the issue, but you can't kind of divorce one with the other, because they are so linked, and at the end of the day, Kalarakhand Manch is a part of the task force. You all have responded to it, and you actually feel that this task force has been constituted as a response to your genuine needs. Francis, why don't you come in on this? What do you feel about the whole task force, and do you see some light at the end of the tunnel because of this?
Like Devidas Bab said, I am going to speak as a member of the Kala Rakhand and not as a member of the task force. But firstly, we are like, we chased this CM. We asked for a meeting. He gave us that meeting. At that meeting, we demanded an inquiry into the entire matter. Our demands were accepted, and we are grateful to Pramod Sawant for that. After accepting our demands, he was quick and prompt to form the task force. And as far as we are concerned, every task force has, a certain objectives or what we call terms of reference. And they have a certain amount of work cut out for them. So we were happy that they brought an outsider. We were demanding to have a former High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge or a person not from the government. What he did was he got Vijay Kenkre, who's a very, very senior, very honest gentleman, and we are happy with Vijay Kenkre. And we've spent 2 days with the task force, and so far what has happened in the task force has been some really good work. So
can you elaborate?
So a proper inspection happened. As far as I am concerned, my responsibility was to show him the technical aspects of what has gone wrong with the air conditioning, with the sound, with the lights. And Mr. Kenkre and the rest of the task force, some of them are quite elderly.
So what has gone wrong according to you?
That has been completely documented in the past also. It's all in the public domain.
It may have been, but you can reiterate what you found again, because it was an inspection, right?
So, what we've said in the past earlier, the complete AC system that was existing has been ignored. The ducts remain as they are, and they've added a new system on the terrace. That system is not meant for auditoriums. Simple.
But now, if you recall, we had the same discussion almost 4 months ago.
Fair enough. But
after that means in these 4 months, nothing has moved then.
So nothing has moved. So what has happened is, we have been shouting hoarse that this has happened. I've been saying these exact problems with the AC, with the sound, with the waterproofing. And that's why I said we've been hounding the Chief Minister for a meeting.
Right.
He gave us that meeting finally.
Okay.
And he acknowledged what Mr. Devidas said is correct. The government has acknowledged that there are lapses with everything over there.
Right.
And because of those lapses, they've said, what do you want to do now? So we said we need.
So okay, just to pause, because you're saying something very important. What you are saying is that the Chief Minister of Goa, Dr. Pramod Sawant, accepted that there were huge lapses in the construction work of the so-called renovation of the Kala Academy.
Right, and that's the reason he's put the task force in place, and he's put an exterior person not from the government as head of the task force to delve into what went wrong. And as a task force, we are doing that. So exactly what we were saying about earlier, I've taken press conference on the issue, and I've tried and articulated every issue in detail. The same issues were showed to the entire committee of the task force along with the chairman. And the chairman and the task force, some of them elderly gentlemen, took the trouble to literally climb up small crevices and corners of the complex.
What is interesting is, then I'll come to Devidas again and also Dormin. But what is interesting is that immediately after the task force held a press conference after that,
right,
the Art and Culture Minister Govind Gowde completely dissed you all, because he said that how can this task force in one meeting come up with these kind of flaws. So on one hand you are saying that the Chief Minister very admitted to these kind of flaws, but the Art and Culture Minister immediately after your press conference turns around and says that how can this task force even come up with these kind of conclusions in one meeting.
He made a statement to say that the comments made by the task force are premature.
Correct.
I think that statement of his was completely immature.
Why?
Because he has not seen the kind of work that we've done in that 2 days. We spent a good 4 or 5 hours in that in the complex. We didn't walk around aimlessly.
Right.
We spent a lot of time.
Correct.
And the next day we had a 4-hour almost long meeting which ended at lunchtime, where we presented facts and figures.
Right.
And all the stakeholders involved, which was the Kala Academy Council with the member secretary, the PWD people,
right,
and the Art and Culture Department, they didn't have answers to what the entire committee was asking. So
this was across the 2 days that you all did the inspection.
Yeah.
Who all did not have the answers?
The government people who are in charge of the
PWD did not have answers.
They did not have the answers.
Who did not have answers?
Even the other departments who are in charge, the Art and Culture, Kala Academy, they didn't have the answers.
To which specific questions?
To all of the questions as to why this is like this and why this is not done this way, right?
Okay.
And based on that, it was certified, but at least for the chairman. Now the chairman's an outsider to this this entire story. He's come in for the last 2 days. So in 2 days, whatever he saw, he was quite shocked and aghast with it. And thus he made the statement.
I see.
That statement certified what we have been saying, and put the onus onto the task force to verify what we were saying, and which he did.
Okay. Do you agree with what Francis is saying, that the Art and Culture Minister's comment that the whole thing is premature is actually immature?
People of Goa know what maturity does our Art and Culture Minister has portrayed since this issue has been arisen. Now, one fine morning he said, who is Charles Correa?
Correct.
Then he said again, who is Rajdeep?
Right.
And now they are calling, he is calling our task force, which is headed by a renowned director from Maharashtra, Mr. Vijay Kengre, is premature. This is absolutely means people of Goa will know what is the maturity level of our cultural minister, and maybe because of that only Mr. CM has kept him away.
Okay.
In fact, I will come to.
You are
the
saying
point.
the CM has kept him away from where?
Now, actually, in our first letter which has been given to CM on 2nd July 2024, we have requested Honorable CM joint meeting with cultural minister, with PWD minister, and everybody and we have demanded for white paper, which has not been which has not been
this meeting has never happened. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but that meeting has been called on. We have asked on 2nd July,
yes.
and the meeting was called on 23rd September.
Right.
So after nearly 2.5 months.
So that meeting happened.
Yeah,
what
that
happened
meeting.
in that meeting where CM and Govind Gowde were both
That,
there?
no.
They weren't there. What he's saying is that that meeting happened only with the CM.
So
And that's why we are thankful to the CM.
The Agriculture Minister was not there for the 23rd meeting.
No, they were not there.
What was the reason given for his absence?
No, we have not asked for
Okay,
also.
fine.
Actually, at last he has called for the meeting.
Right. CM has called for the meeting.
CM must be knowing that his maturity level.
Okay.
So, when he is saying this statement, he is commenting on Mr. Vijay Kankre again. And what statement is given by task force. And that was not Vijay Kankre's statement.
Right.
That was the statement of total task force
Right.
of 13 artists
Right.
or the experts
Okay.
who were there.
Okay. This is on the 30th July or 29th July rather, in the monsoon session of the Assembly, where Govind Gowde says that I am assuring the House that no work will be left incomplete. However, he pointed out that even the Charles Correa Foundation and the team were not able to provide solutions to the problems of Kala Academy, which has been built on sand dunes and just 2.5 meters away from the high tide line. This is from the Assembly, so I'm only commenting from the Assembly. Your quick comment on this.
So my comment is that one is I don't know this whole background of sand dune or not sand dune.
Yeah, I'm just referring to what he said.
The fact is that Kala Academy was designed by Charles Correa as in the position of an architect. The engineering support and also the project management came from the CPWD. Charles Correa had nothing to do with that. The fact is that even at that point of time, the flow of Kala Academy, the amphitheater, the indoor auditorium was below the mean sea level. So it had to take into account the fact that there would be subsoil water trying to find its way up the building.
Right.
All right. And according to me, there was this attempt because there were sumps built inside the Kala Academy floor.
Right.
Now, what seems to have happened is in the course of construction, there was some flaw in the construction of the foundation and the raft slab that was built over there, and that started with the early leakages. All right. The bigger problem was that a lot of these things were left unattended because there was event after event in Kala Academy that required the Kala Academy to be ready most of the period of time. And this is with respect not just to the leakage from the subsoil water, it was also from the roof and from all other locations. Kala Academy was left neglected from the time it was built to the time when it was renovated in 2004 until date. Yeah, even today the rehabilitation work that has been done is shoddy and substandard. Yeah, and it really scares us to look deeper into these things. Yeah, because we don't know what else we are going to find. Now, what they can respond to and what they can react to is what they can hear, they can see, and they can. What we would like to react to is what is unseen, which is the rehabilitation that has been done for the structure.
Right.
So we simply ask them, you do a proper audit of the structure,
right?
Show it to us that this structure is going to be safe for people to occupy, and especially because it's a public building, yeah. And then we are happy to participate, or we will be willing to participate after our our doubts are met.
I mean, would you be able to? Please respond. I'll come back.
Because on this issue only, nodal officer Mr. Prasad Lolekar has presented his view on this in this meeting, saying so that I'll talk to the Charles Correa Foundation and with some representatives of this task force.
This is after recent meeting.
In that meeting only.
Earlier meeting. Yes. Okay.
No, yesterday's meeting.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So there must be some meeting in between.
No, so I would also like to respond to that. See, with all due respect, I completely agree with what he's saying.
Yes.
Right? We are talking about the superficial or the over.
Not superficial, but
not the
ones that are visible. What is visible, what you can hear, you can hear.
We are talking about equipment and all that is added as the cosmetic to the building. Right? But he's talking about the actual structure of the
structural
building.
integrity.
So what like, I would like to request them is that we feel, at least I personally feel that, like, the CM has done a great job by putting this task force in place. Like, I'm really thankful to him. The way the task force is working currently, we see maybe a slight light at the end of the tunnel. But that light at the tunnel would not be reached, and it would be incomplete if we don't have them on board talking and taking charge of the structural aspect of things.
See, all this will happen only, I'll tell you where the grey areas are, and correct me if I'm wrong. See, the grey areas are that when you have a task force, is there a TOR, is there a terms of reference?
Yeah.
All of you all know what the terms of reference are?
Is
it clear to you all of you?
So we have...
Tell us, if you know about this, tell us what the terms of reference.
See, when we started the discussion, the first meeting, I requested...
No, what happens, Francis, sorry to cut you, I'm just to ensure that discussion is very clear. Whenever a task force is constituted, there is a documented TOR with point-wise agenda given.
Right.
Okay. Have you all received a copy of the terms of reference? That's all I want to know.
No, we haven't so far, but we've asked for it, and we've asked for our objectives to be put in the terms of reference.
Yes. So the issue here is okay. Please.
So we are demanding, and we'll definitely get. I'm sure Mr. Mape and Mr. Lolekar are like, they have the terms of reference. They'll give it to us. They're very sincere gentlemen, and
no, there's no doubt about the sincerity of the two gentlemen you named. There's no doubt about it.
Fair.
And we all know how ethical they are. The point here is that when you are serious, if the government is serious about constituting a task force, what is imperative and mandatory and non-negotiable is to have the terms of reference, the period by which the task force has to be completed, and what are the objectives that task force has to.
100%. I agree with you.
Yes.
And in fact, we have demanded it also. We should know what are our rights and duties.
So that is something we'll get. Like you said, without that, the task force would be redundant.
Because we need to know what is the ultimate objective.
Yes.
Is the objective just to ensure that the artists are satisfied that their light, music, sound, acoustics are fine? Or is there a larger objective to do an overall audit of this renovation? Because at the end of the day, if 70 crores of public money and another additional 10 crores was further allocated, so we are looking at about 80 crores of money that has been allocated. We need to know, taxpayers need to know how that money has been spent. Don't you agree, Arvind?
I agree, and I also think that if the Chief Minister is being as genuine as he can be, all right, then he would be also listening to the fact that we have genuine concerns about the safety of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's something that is very important for the state government also to be able to give that confidence to its public that here we have rehabilitated the building, it's safe. And I think the Chief Minister himself should to step in and say, okay, we want to take up this audit.
Correct.
Yeah. If this audit is taken up, the thing changes quite a bit as far as we are concerned. We will still consider, stepping in and stepping out. You see, every time we've been saying, do this, all right? We've not been saying because there's something for us to benefit from. We are saying this because we are generally interested to see that the Kala Academy is available for the public. At this point of time, we say, okay, we'll just listen to what you're saying, and then we start seeing a terms of reference that is condensed to a very few things, but we don't have a written document, which means that when something happens, there's a whole collapse somewhere, they'll say, no, they were appointed, they had to look into everything.
Correct.
It's like how they now have dodged the whole situation with the collapse of the roof over the amphitheater by saying that was not part of the reference given to the brief.
Which is why the TOR is very important.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the timeline of this task force is also very important.
Absolutely.
And then also, will the task force recommendations be binding on the government, or will they remain as recommendations? That also needs to be underlined.
Absolutely. So I'm saying, see, these things are something that, once at least it was constituted,
right,
as the task force, we are demanding all of these things, and we will not stop till these demands are met.
Sure.
We want the foundation to be part of us, and part of those terms of reference have to be with regards to the structural
yes,
part of the building. And if they are part of
they will be part of it only if the structural audit is a part of your TOR.
Yeah, but they have to see, the thing is, they have to come and be a part of the task force, and then as part of the task force, they have a little bit more say in demanding that the structural audit should be redone by IIT.
So what we are now seeing is that the government may step in and say that they want, because you said that Prasad Lolekar wants to find a solution to this.
He wants to.
And if he wants to find a solution to this, then maybe they will include it in part of the thing. And I think that makes us a little more comfortable to consider being part of the task force.
Correct.
We need, but the point is like this. The point is that I can't exclude this or I can't say overlook this part of structural audit, to be in in a discussion where I feel that is not as important as this.
Can you tell me what are your genuine, not only expectations, but where do you feel or how do you feel that this whole exercise will be a success to your satisfaction? Listen, what are you looking at for you all to be satisfied in the long run as artists?
For that matter, we have even submitted one letter to the chairman of this task force.
Okay.
And we have mentioned the things which we want.
Can you highlight some of it?
Yeah, it's like means.
No, just a few points, just to.
No, in normal procedure, what happens when I want to reconstruct or rebuild my house? I normally consider my wife, my children. And then we decide.
Yes,
we decide.
Yes.
And then we go further like. That basic exercise, I think, has not been done in this case.
Very important point, yes.
So, and so many flaws are there. In fact, we are demanding that. So, it was like status of Kala Academy structure before prepares, including the report and its authorization. Means, was there any report to do some
correction in the first place?
Reconstruction.
So this is very interesting. See, even as artists,
Yeah.
you are speaking the same language that Armin is speaking, which is very healthy.
It's a rule of law.
So
na?
yeah,
It's a
so
rule of
the
law.
issue is that you all themselves have spoken about this.
When I go for construction of my
Yes.
individual house,
Correct.
I do take care of this. na?
Correct.
And then only.
So you are very healthily expanding the scope, and rightly so,
Yeah.
to include an overall holistic scrutiny of this,
Yeah.
rather than look at it only as a sound and light issue.
Yeah, we have
in
said
fact-
that from 2004. From that time, what has happened? There have been milestones. We've marked out those milestones and what has gone wrong since 2004 when they did this, and we have mentioned all of that back history.
Right.
Then what has happened now currently, and now also what we want going ahead. Everything has been mentioned. So
what are your satisfaction benchmarks? Yeah.
The only satisfaction we will say that the water which was coming from this downstage has not been come this time. Otherwise, we saw there are so many flaws. They are being pointed out in this
Got it.
meeting.
So all these have to be repaired. And
yeah, that has to be repaired.
I mean, coming back to the overall cost of the whole project, people are saying 70 crores. Then apparently 10 crores was also allotted for further renovation, which has again sparked a controversy. Just as a matter of discussion, how much did Kala Academy cost when it was built?
I think about some 20.
Not even that, I think.
Yeah, about
Less than
5
crores.
or 6 crores, I think.
8
I don't know, 8
crores, 8 crores.
So you're saying Kala Academy, to the best of your knowledge, was built in 80 crores and 8 crores. My apologies, 8 crores, and is being rebuilt or renovated at the cost of roughly 80 crores. This is basically what the
Now, prior to this also some crores has been spent on this.
Correct. We are totally
It
talking
was
of this project.
40
Correct.
crores or something like.
Correct.
In 2000.
No, the issue here is now, don't you think there should be a proper, I mean, and this is something that people have not raised, or you all must have raised. I'm just asking you, have you all at any point of time asked for a financial audit of Kala Academy along with the structural audit? And do you feel that's necessary?
So I think there have been people who have asked for a financial audit.
When we are asking for this white paper, it all includes. Na?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But even before that, there have been people I know who have been asking for this financial audit.
Right.
Yeah. When you are rehabilitating a building, if you follow the right processes and depending on what is the extent of the damage,
Right.
yeah, you could end up spending a lot of money. I'm not saying no, but when I look at the way this 80 crores has been spent, I think it's been spent very badly. A simple thing like, so I'm saying, okay, you spend 80 crores, I agree, you spend 80 crores. But here I'm saying that you spend 80 crores and you've done a shoddy job everywhere. Right from your decisions, your engineering, your lighting, and including the finishes. A simple thing like even the flooring for that amphitheater, it's so badly done.
Black box.
Black box. Yeah. That's very poorly done, and I don't think. If you ask me, it's a huge expenditure. It's achieved very little. portions of the building are collapsing, portions are leaking. They are saying that the sound of the air conditioner is carrying forward everywhere. Choices of materials where they are supposed to drag heavy, equipment. They put carpets, they are unable to move. The lighting, what has to be in front of the performer is gone behind him, and everything is gone for this thing toss. The sound system which has been put over there is something that is for theatre, for your for your
home theatre.
Home theatre. Yeah, for home theatre, and it's completely is poor in terms of requirements of performance.
Okay, I'm afraid we have just run out of time completely, but I think we've packed in a lot in this short span of 30 odd minutes. The sum and substance of this is that Kala Academy needs a financial audit, it needs a structural audit, it needs a cultural audit, and it needs an audit to the satisfaction of the people who are the real family members of Kala Academy, which is the artists. And the point here is that if you spend about 70 to 80 crores and then you end up having to constitute task force and do these kind of audits, this actually spells out and underlines a very sorry state of affairs. At the end of the day, this was just a renovation exercise of one of the greatest iconic buildings and structures that Goa has ever had. And we say this with sadness because the same sadness that was in this room 4 months ago when we discussed that subject remains now, and it goes even deeper because nothing seems to have moved. And that is a sad story, and I think it's very important that even as Goans, we need to understand where our money went, along with all other reasons that have been put forward. I thank all my panelists for their very riveting insights into this subjects, and we hope that Kala Academy finally gets restored to its former glory. Thank you.